There is a quiet truth that echoes in the lives of every single person, whether they choose to hear it or not. It is the truth that we are all living two lives. The first is the life we are currently living, the life of our daily routines, our habits, our responsibilities, and our results. And then there is the second life, the unlived life, the life that exists, shimmering and potent in the vast expanse of our potential. It is the life of the person we are capable of becoming. It is the life of our greatest courage, our deepest wisdom, our most profound contributions. For most, this second life remains a distant, beautiful ghost, a whisper of what could have been. The greatest tragedy of the human experience is not that our time on this earth is finite. The greatest tragedy is to arrive at the end of our days having only lived the first life, while the second, magnificent life dies within us, unexplored and unexpressed. The entire purpose of our time together, the entire purpose of a life by design, is to close that gap, to build a bridge between the life you are living and the life that is waiting for you. And that bridge is built through the work on one project, a project so vast, so demanding, and so rewarding that it will require all of you. In the great sweeping landscape of your life, you will work on many things. You will build a career, you may build a family, you will build relationships, but there is one project that precedes all others and upon which the success of all others depends. That first and final project is you. We live in a world that is designed to pull your attention outward. It is a world of endless distractions, a magnificent circus of external demands. From the moment you wake, your focus is pulled toward your email, your phone, the news, the expectations of your boss, the needs of your family, the drama of society. This outward focus creates a dangerous illusion. It is the illusion of productivity, the illusion of importance. We become busy, we fill our calendars, we run from task to task, and in this frantic state of busyness, we feel like we are making progress. But this busyness is often a form of anesthetic. It is a powerful drug that numbs us to the quiet, persistent neglect of our own inner world. We become human doings instead of human beings. We spend years polishing our resume, but no time cultivating our character. We work tirelessly to build our net worth, but forget to build our self-worth. We become experts in our chosen profession, but remain strangers to ourselves. And then one day, we wake up, perhaps in a beautiful house, with all the external symbols of success, and we feel a profound emptiness, a sense of being a stranger in our own life. This is the inevitable result of neglecting the most important project. Why do we do this? Why do we neglect the one project that determines the quality of everything else? We do it because the work on the outside world is often easier. It is tangible. It provides immediate feedback and validation. But the work on the inside, the work on yourself, is quiet. It is difficult. It requires a level of honesty and introspection that can be deeply uncomfortable. It is easier to answer 100 emails than it is to ask yourself one difficult question about your own life. But today, we make an inward turn. Today, we commit to the philosophy of the architect. And the architect understands the most fundamental law of creation. The outer world is a mirror of the inner world. Your life, as you see it right now, is a perfect reflection of the person you are. It is not a reflection of the economy. It is not a reflection of your boss. It is not a reflection of your past. It is a reflection of your skills, your habits, and most importantly, of your personal philosophy. If you want to change the reflection in the mirror, you do not reach out and try to polish the mirror. The mirror is not the problem. You must change the person who is casting the reflection. Your income is a mirror reflecting the value you bring to the marketplace. If you want to change your income, you do not just ask for more money, you must become a person of more value. Your relationships are a mirror reflecting your own character, your own capacity for empathy, and your own standards. If you want better relationships, you must become a better person. Your health is a mirror reflecting your daily habits and your self-respect. The drifter, the person living by default, spends their entire life trying to fix the reflection. They polish the mirror, they curse the mirror, they negotiate with the mirror, The architect steps away from the mirror and begins the profound work on the person who casts the reflection. The architect works on the cause, not just the effect. So what does it mean to work on yourself? What does this great project entail? It is not a vague or mystical process. It is a practical, tangible endeavor that can be broken down into its core components. The first component is your mindset. This is your personal philosophy, the collection of beliefs and attitudes that you hold about yourself and the world. It is the invisible root system from which the tree of your life grows. To work on yourself is to consciously examine and upgrade this root system. The second component is your skill set. These are your capabilities, your ability to communicate, to lead, to solve problems, to create value. Your skill set is the set of tools you bring to the marketplace and to your life. To work on yourself is to be in a constant state of sharpening your tools and acquiring new ones. The third component is your character set. This is the very substance of who you are. Your integrity, your discipline, your courage, your compassion, your resilience. Your character is the foundation that determines whether your success will be sustainable or fleeting. To work on yourself is to consciously forge your character in the crucible of your daily choices. Mindset, skill set, and character set. This is the holy trinity of personal construction. To engage in this project, we must think like an architect in their workshop. The raw material you have been given is your boundless potential. It is vast, but it is unformed. It is a magnificent block of marble. The blueprint you must create is a clear vision for the person you intend to become. This is the statue you see within the stone. The tools you will use are the daily disciplines and habits that we will explore as the 7 pillars of this program. And the workshop itself is your daily life, your environment, where you will perform the work. Having accepted that you are the project and having seen the layout of the workshop, we are now ready to unroll the blueprint. The rest of our time together will be dedicated to this blueprint. It consists of the 7 fundamental commitments of the self-construction project. We will begin with the commitment to embrace radical responsibility, for no work can begin until you acknowledge that you are the builder. We will then move to defining the person you intend to become, the act of creating your vision. We will explore the commitment to lifelong learning, the process of acquiring your skills. We will learn to master your time, the currency of your effort. We will commit to becoming the steward of your inner world, the maintenance of your instrument. We will master the art of the strategic, no, the tool for protecting your focus. And we will learn to choose your associations wisely, the art of curating your workshop. This is the curriculum. This is the work. This is the promise of what is possible when you finally decide that you are the most important project you will ever work on. This is not a path of selfishness. It is the ultimate act of responsibility. For the world does not benefit from a version of you that is operating at a fraction of your potential. Your family, your community, and your purpose are all best served when you bring the strongest, wisest, and most capable version of yourself to the table. You cannot pour from an empty cup. This is the work of filling your cup to overflowing. So my invitation to you today is a profound one. It is an invitation to shift your primary focus, to turn your gaze away from the endless distractions of the external world and to look inward, to make the courageous and deeply rewarding decision to pick up the tools of the architect and to begin the first day of work on your first and final project. In our introduction, we stood at a threshold. We acknowledged that our life as it is a project, and that we have the potential to be its architect. We have made the decision to step into the workshop, and now, at the very beginning of our work, we are confronted with the most fundamental choice a human being can make. It is a choice that precedes every other decision, every other action, and every other commitment. It is a fork in the road of human philosophy. Down one path lies a life of powerlessness, of frustration, of being an effect. Down the other lies a life of power, of freedom, of being a cause. This is not a small choice. It is the choice that will define everything. This brings us to our first and most foundational pillar. Before you can build anything of value, you must embrace radical responsibility. To understand the profound power of this commitment, we must first dissect its opposite with brutal honesty. We must perform an autopsy on the philosophy that keeps the vast majority of people trapped in lives of quiet desperation. This is the philosophy of blame. The mindset of the victim, the language of the victim is subtle, pervasive, and poisonous. It is the language of if only. If only I had better parents. If only I had gone to a better school. If only the economy were different. It is the language of it's not my fault, I was late because of the traffic, I didn't get the job because the interviewer didn't like me. It is the language of they made me feel. He made me angry. She made me sad. Why is this mindset so common? Why is it so seductive? Because in the short term, it offers a powerful comfort, the comfort of absolution. When you blame something or someone else, you absolve yourself of the difficult, painful work of looking in the mirror. You protect your ego. It is far easier to be the righteous victim of an unfair world than it is to be the accountable creator of your own disappointing results. Blame gets you sympathy. It gets you attention. It allows you to remain the hero of your own tragic story. But what is the true long-term cost of this comfort? The price is your power. The moment you place the blame for your situation on anything outside of yourself, you have given away your power to change it. If the traffic is the reason you are late, then you are powerless until the city fixes the traffic. If your boss is the reason you are not promoted, you are powerless until your boss magically changes. If your past is the reason for your present, you are a permanent prisoner of your own history. A life of blame is a life spent waiting for the world to change, waiting for other people to change, waiting for the stars to align. And the architect knows that waiting is not a strategy. It is a surrender. Furthermore, a life of blame is a life of stagnation. You cannot learn from a mistake that you do not own. If it is always someone else's fault, then there is no lesson for you to learn, no skill for you to develop, no adjustment for you to make. Your growth is permanently stunted. And finally, a life of blame inevitably becomes a life of bitterness. When you see yourself as a victim, you spend your days collecting evidence of injustice. You become a connoisseur of slights and grievances. Your heart becomes a hostile place to live, filled with resentment. This is the path of the drifter. It is a path that leads to powerlessness, stagnation, and bitterness. Today, we choose the other path, the path of the architect, the path of radical responsibility. So what does this mean? Let us redefine responsibility. It is not about fault. It is not about blame, especially self-blame. The root of the word gives us the clue. Responsibility. It is your ability to choose your response. While you cannot control every event that happens in your life, you cannot control the weather, the economy, or the actions of other people. You have absolute 100% control over your response to those events. In that power of response lies your ability to shape your entire destiny. The architect understands that they are the primary creative force in their own life. They choose to live at the cause side of the equation, not the effect side. Let me explain. Life is a continuous play of cause and effect. The drifter lives at the effect side. They see their life as a result of external causes. They are a product of their environment. The architect makes a radical choice. They decide to be the cause. They see their life as a result of their internal state, their choices, their habits, their mindset. This is the principle of 100% responsibility. You take responsibility for everything in your life. Not that you caused it all, but that you are responsible for your experience and your response to it all. Did someone cut you off in traffic? You cannot control their driving, but you are 100% responsible for your response. Will you choose rage and raise your blood pressure? Or will you choose to take a deep breath, let it go, and protect your own peace of mind? Did you lose your job due to a company downsizing? You did not cause the downsizing, but you are 100% responsible for your response. Will you choose to blame the company and become a victim? Or will you choose to see this as an opportunity to reassess your skills, to learn something new, and to find an even better position? This is not a burden. This is the ultimate freedom. The burden is believing that your happiness and success are in someone else's hands. The freedom is knowing with absolute certainty that your future is in your hands. So, how do we apply this? How do we move from the philosophy to the daily practice of a responsible life? First, you must begin the elimination of excuses. An excuse is a premeditated abdication of responsibility. It is a reason you give for failing in advance. You must become a ruthless detective and hunt down the excuses in your own life. The excuse of "I don't have time" is a lie. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. It is a matter of priority, not time. The excuse of "I don't have the money" is a lie. It is a matter of resourcefulness, not resources. The excuse of "I don't know how" is a lie. In an age of infinite information, "I don't know how" is a choice to remain ignorant. Second, you must practice owning your results. Look at every major result in your life right now: your physical health, your financial situation, the quality of your relationships, and ask this difficult but powerful question: how did my actions, my inactions, and my choices contribute to creating this result? This is not about beating yourself up. It is about identifying the levers of cause and effect in your own life so you can begin to operate them with intention. Third, you must shift your language. The language you use both internally and externally shapes your reality. Stop using the passive language of the victim. Instead of "I have to go to work," try "I get to go to work." Instead of "they made me so angry," try "I am choosing to feel angry in response to their actions." This small shift in language is a constant reminder that you are in the driver's seat. Fourth, you must focus your energy on your circle of influence. Imagine two circles. The outer circle is your circle of concern. It contains all the things you worry about but cannot directly control: the global economy, politics, the weather, what other people think. The inner circle is your circle of influence. It contains the things you can control: your attitude, your habits, your skills, your choices, your responses. The drifter spends 90% of their energy in their circle of concern. They argue, they worry, they complain, and their circle of influence shrinks. The architect spends 90% of their energy in their circle of influence. They work on themselves, they learn, they build, they act, and as they do, their circle of influence begins to expand. You see, this first commitment to radical responsibility is the non-negotiable foundation upon which all other pillars must be built. You cannot define the person you intend to become if you do not first accept that you have the power to create that person. You cannot commit to lifelong learning if you are blaming others for your ignorance. You cannot master your time if you believe your schedule is controlled by others. You cannot prioritize your health if you believe your well-being is a matter of genetic luck. Every other commitment we will discuss is an act of personal responsibility. This is the source of them all. So my challenge to you today is a profound one. It is an invitation to end the blame game forever. I want you to identify one area of your life where you have been placing the blame outside of yourself. One area where you have felt like a victim. It could be your finances, your health, a relationship, your career. And for that one area, I challenge you to make a new declaration right now. The declaration of the architect: from this moment forward, I accept 100% responsibility for this area of my life. I am the source of the solution. The power is in my hands. This is the first choice. This is the great turning point. It is the moment you stop being a passenger and take the captain's wheel. It is the moment you reclaim your power. It is the moment your new life begins. In our last discussion, we stood at a great and powerful fork in the road. We made the most important choice of our lives. We chose the path of the architect, the path of the creator. We chose to embrace radical responsibility. In doing so, we took back the pen of authorship for our own life story. We accepted, with both the weight and the freedom that it brings, that we are the primary cause in our own lives. We have declared that our future will not be a product of chance, but a product of choice. This is a monumental first step. But with this power of creation now firmly in your hands, we are immediately confronted with the next and most exhilarating question: what will you create? Before an architect can lay a single foundation stone, they must first have a vision, a clear, compelling, and detailed blueprint of the structure they intend to build. This brings us to our second and profoundly creative pillar. It is the commitment that gives direction to your newfound power. You must define the person you intend to become. Let us be clear, this is not about finding yourself. The self is not a lost item waiting to be discovered under a rock. The self is a masterpiece waiting to be created. You are not a finished statue to be dusted off and discovered. You are the raw, magnificent block of marble, and you are also the sculptor with the chisel in your hand. Before we can begin the work of sculpting, we must first understand the nature of the default identity that most of us carry. For most, our sense of self is not a conscious creation. It is an accidental accumulation. It is an accumulation of our past. We allow our past mistakes, our past failures, and our past successes to define the limits of our present. We carry an invisible resume of who we've been, and we unconsciously use it to dictate who we are allowed to be today. It is an accumulation of the labels of others, the labels given to us by our parents, our teachers, our friends, and our society. You're the shy one. You're not good at math. You're a natural leader. You're just not the creative type. These labels, whether positive or negative, can become cages that we mistake for our own skin. And it is an accumulation of the comfort of the known. It is simply easier to continue being the person we've always been. To change, to evolve, to become someone new is an act of profound courage. It requires us to step into the uncertainty of the unknown. And so, most people choose the familiar prison of their current identity over the frightening freedom of their potential. The result is that most people are living as a collection of past data and external opinions, not as a conscious, future-oriented creation. The architect of a designed life refuses this passive existence. The architect understands that their greatest work of art is not a business they will build or a fortune they will amass. Their greatest work of art is the person they will become. To begin this process, we must embrace a fundamental shift in our philosophy of achievement. It is the philosophy of being, doing, and having. The drifter, the person living by default, has this equation completely backward. They think, when I have more time, when I have more money, when I have more confidence, then I will do the things I want to do, like start the business or take the trip, and then I will be a happy and successful person. This is a formula for a life of perpetual waiting. The architect understands the truth. The equation runs in the opposite direction. You must first decide who you intend to be. You must adopt the identity, the mindset, the character of the person you wish to become. From that state of being, you will naturally begin to do the things that such a person does. And as a natural consequence of your doing, you will have the things that such a person has. You must first be a disciplined person in your mind before you will consistently do the acts of discipline and have the results of a disciplined life. You must first be a courageous person in your identity before you will do the acts of courage and have the rewards of a courageous life. So the work is not on the having, the work is on the being. How do you define this person you intend to become? This is not a vague exercise in positive thinking. It is an act of detailed, specific, architectural design. You must create a blueprint for your future self. I encourage you to take out your journal and engage in a profound conversation with the person you intend to be 5 years from today. Imagine that person is writing you a letter describing who they are. What would they say? Let's design this person across the 4 key dimensions of life. First, the person of health and vitality. Who must you become to have the vibrant health you desire? It is not just a person who goes to the gym. It is a person who values energy. A person who respects their body as a priceless instrument. A person who finds joy in movement and nourishment. Describe this person's daily habits, their mindset about food, their relationship with rest. Second, the person of wealth and contribution. Who must you become to create the financial freedom and the impact you desire? It is not just a person who works hard. It is a person of immense value. A person who is a lifelong learner, constantly honing their skills. A person of unshakable integrity. A person who sees problems as opportunities to serve. Describe this person's work ethic, their attitude towards money, their commitment to growth. Third, the person of wisdom and serenity. Who must you become to have a rich inner life? A person who is a reader, a person who practices reflection and learns from their experiences. a person who is a great listener, a person who can remain calm in the midst of a storm. Describe this person's inner world, their relationship with their own thoughts and emotions. And fourth, the person of love and connection. Who must you become to have the deep, meaningful relationships you desire? A person who is present, a person who is compassionate, a person who is a great forgiver, a person who gives love freely without expecting anything in return. Describe how this person shows up for their family, their friends, and their community. This act of writing, of defining, is the act of creation. Clarity is a magnet. A clear, compelling vision of your future self acts like a powerful magnetic force. It pulls you forward. It makes it easier to get out of bed in the morning. It helps you endure the inevitable hardships. And it acts as a filter for your decisions. For any choice you face, you can simply ask, would the person I intend to become do this? Now, a blueprint is essential, but it is not the building. How do we bridge the gap between the vision and our reality? We do it through the principle of living into the vision. This is the practice of acting as if. This is not about being fake or inauthentic. It is about having the courage to align your actions with your desired identity before you feel fully ready. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is a result of action. You do not wait to feel confident before you make the sales call. You make the sales call, and in doing so, you become more confident. You do not wait until you feel like a healthy person to go to the gym. You go to the gym, and in doing so, you begin to feel like a healthy person. Your actions are the chisel you use to sculpt the marble of your potential. Every time you act in alignment with your future self, you are making a deliberate strike, chipping away the stone that is not the masterpiece. This creates a powerful feedback loop. You act like the person you want to be. The world begins to respond to you as that person. This external validation reinforces your new identity. This strengthens your belief, which in turn fuels your next bolder action. This is the upward spiral of becoming. You see, this commitment to defining the person you intend to become is the necessary prerequisite for all the commitments that follow. It is this vision of your future self that provides the curriculum for your lifelong learning. Your blueprint tells you exactly what skills, what knowledge, and what character traits you need to develop. It is this vision that gives you the strength to face challenges with courage, because you know that the challenge is the very thing that is forging you into the person you have decided to be. It is this vision that gives you the reason to master your time and master your discipline, because every moment and every action is a precious opportunity to build that future self. So the invitation of this pillar is a profound one. It is to stop allowing your past and the opinions of others to define you. It is to take up the divine and joyful responsibility of defining yourself. My challenge to you is this: sometime today, find a quiet moment, take out a clean sheet of paper, and at the top write this question: who do I intend to become? And then just begin to write. Do not judge it, do not edit it, just dream on paper, describe that person, feel what it feels like to be them. That is the first and most important conversation you will ever have with the masterpiece that is waiting to be created. That is the first act of the sculptor. In our last discussion, we engaged in the most profound act of personal creation. We stood before the raw, unformed marble of our potential, and with the chisel of our imagination, we began to see the masterpiece within. We made the commitment to define the person we intend to become. We have created the blueprint. We have a clear, compelling vision of our future self. But with this beautiful vision comes an immediate, humbling, and honest question: how do I get there from here? On one side of a great chasm is the person you are today, with your current skills, your current knowledge, and your current character. On the other side is the magnificent person you have just envisioned. The gap between those two shores can seem vast and intimidating. This brings us to our third and intensely practical pillar. This is the pillar of transformation. It is the commitment that provides the materials and the labor to construct the bridge across that chasm. You must commit to lifelong learning and growth. Let us begin by dismantling a great cultural fallacy. It is the myth that education is a finite period of your life that ends with a ceremony called graduation. On that day, you are handed a piece of paper, and you are led to believe that your education is complete. This is a profound misunderstanding. That diploma is not a certificate of mastery. It is a learner's permit for the real world. The day your formal schooling ends is the day your true, self-directed education must begin. And here lies one of the most powerful distinctions you will ever learn. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Your formal education is vital. It gives you a foundation. It teaches you the basic grammar of your society and your chosen field. It gets you in the door. But it is the work you do on yourself, by yourself, after the last school bell has rung, that will determine the altitude of your life's trajectory. Self-education is the process by which you write your own unique story. It is where you develop your unique voice, your unique combination of skills, your irreplaceable value. The fortune we speak of is not merely financial, although that is often a welcome result. It is a fortune of wisdom, of character, of resilience, and of a life rich with depth and understanding. In a world that is changing at a breathtaking pace, the commitment to lifelong learning is no longer just an advantage for the ambitious. It is a fundamental requirement for relevance. The skills that are valuable today may be obsolete tomorrow. To stop learning is not to stand still. It is to be carried backward by the relentless current of progress. The architect of a designed life does not fear this. They embrace it. They see learning not as a chore, but as the most exciting part of the human adventure. They adopt the identity of an autodidact, a self-teacher. They take radical responsibility for their own learning curve forever. So, what does this commitment look like in practice? The work of self-education can be broken down into 4 distinct, powerful disciplines. The first is the discipline of consumption. Your mind becomes a composite of what you feed it. The drifter consumes information passively, randomly, like a piece of driftwood collecting whatever washes over it. The architect is a conscious, strategic curator of their mental diet. This begins with the timeless and revolutionary act of reading. In an age of fleeting distractions, the book is a sanctuary of deep thought. It is a structured, long-form argument that demands your focus and, in return, expands your mind. A great book is a direct conversation with a master. For a few dollars and a few hours of your time, you can access a lifetime of experience, a lifetime of mistakes, and a lifetime of wisdom. To neglect this opportunity is a form of self-imposed poverty. Build a library. Let its shelves be filled with the mentors you wish you had. Beyond reading, there is listening. Turn your net time, your no extra time spent commuting, exercising, or doing chores into a university on wheels. With audiobooks and educational podcasts, you can immerse yourself in new ideas, learn new skills, and transform otherwise unproductive time into periods of profound growth. And finally, there is observing. Become a student of the human experience. Study the successes of others, not with envy, but with the analytical curiosity of a scientist. Study their failures, not with judgment, but for the valuable second-hand wisdom they provide. Every person you meet, every situation you encounter is a potential teacher, but only if you are a willing student. The second discipline is the discipline of reflection. Information consumed is not yet wisdom. Knowledge that is not processed is just noise. It is not our experience that teaches us. It is our evaluation of our experience. This is the profound power of keeping a journal. A journal is not a diary of your daily events. It is your personal strategy room. It is a sacred space to have a conversation with yourself, to untangle your thoughts, and to turn the raw data of your life into insight. At the end of each day or week, take a few quiet moments to wrestle with these 3 questions. 1, what went well and why? So you can understand your strengths and repeat your successes. 2, what didn't go well and why? So you can understand your weaknesses and learn from your mistakes. And the most important question, based on this, what will I do differently? This simple, consistent act of reflection is what separates a life of conscious evolution from a life of endlessly repeating the same patterns. The third discipline is the discipline of application. This is the bridge between the world of ideas and the world of results. Knowledge without application is a useless burden. The gap between knowing what to do and actually doing what you know is where most potential goes to die. The architect is not a librarian of ideas, they are a builder. The most effective way to learn is to apply. Do not just learn for the sake of learning, learn with the intention of creating, of solving, of building. Take on a project that forces you to use the new skill you are acquiring. This struggle, this application in the real world, is what forges the soft metal of knowledge into the hard steel of a true skill. Practice the 1% rule. From every book you read or every lecture you hear, extract one small idea and apply it that very day. Small, consistent application is what builds the bridge to your future self. The fourth and ultimate discipline is the discipline of teaching. There is an old proverb, "He who teaches learns twice." When you learn something with the intention of explaining it to someone else, you are forced to clarify your own thinking, to simplify the complex, and to truly master the subject. The act of teaching solidifies your own learning in a way that nothing else can. Share what you learn, explain a concept to a friend, mentor a colleague. In giving your knowledge away, you will find that you possess it more fully. Underpinning these four disciplines is an essential internal shift, the mindset of the autodidact. It is a mindset of curiosity. You must reawaken the childlike wonder that asks why and how. The person who thinks they have all the answers is a closed system, incapable of growth. The wise person is the one with the best question. It is a mindset of humility, the understanding that the more you learn, the more you realize how vast the ocean of your own ignorance truly is. This is not a cause for despair. It is a cause for excitement. It means there is always more to learn, more to discover, more to become. And it is, of course, the growth mindset. The core belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your talents are not fixed traits carved in stone, but are skills that can be cultivated through dedication, strategy, and effort. You see, this commitment to lifelong learning is the direct and necessary response to the commitments that came before. You have defined the person you intend to become. Your self-education is the very process by which you build that person. Your vision provides the curriculum for your learning. And this commitment is the absolute prerequisite for the commitments that follow. It is the act of forging your intellectual and psychological armor before you go into battle. The knowledge you gain and the skills you develop are what will give you the competence and the confidence to face challenges with courage. But this noble pursuit of growth requires the most precious resource of all. You cannot learn without it. You cannot grow without it. This brings us to the absolute necessity of our next pillar. You must become the master of your time. So the invitation of this pillar is to fall in love with the process of becoming. To see yourself not as a finished statue to be placed on a pedestal, but as the sculptor with the chisel and hammer in your hand, joyfully at work in your studio every single day. My challenge to you is this: what is the one book that is sitting on your shelf, unread, that you know holds a key for you? What is the one skill that, if you learned it, would have the greatest impact on your life? What is the one subject that sparks a genuine fire of curiosity within you? Choose one and take the first small step to learn it today. Not tomorrow, not when you have more time, today. That is the first act of the lifelong student. That is the first investment in the only asset that is guaranteed to grow for the rest of your life, you. In our last discussion, we made the profound commitment to become lifelong students in the great school of life. We committed to the endless and exciting work of lifelong learning and growth, understanding that we must become the person capable of achieving our grandest ambitions. But this noble pursuit, like every other commitment we will ever make, requires the investment of our single most precious, non-renewable, and irretrievable resource. It is the raw material from which your entire life is crafted. Without its mastery, all other commitments will fail. This brings us to our fourth and intensely practical pillar. It is the commitment that governs the very fabric of our days, our weeks, and our years. You must become the master of your time. Let us begin with a thought experiment. Imagine that every single morning, a bank deposits $86,400 into your account. You can spend it however you wish. But there are two unchangeable rules. First, whatever you fail to use by the end of the day is taken from you. It does not roll over. Second, you cannot know for certain how many days the bank will continue to make this deposit. One day, it may simply stop. How would you treat that money? Would you squander it carelessly on trivialities? Would you let others dictate how you spend it? Or would you plan every single dollar with meticulous intention, ensuring that each one was invested in a way that brought you maximum value, joy, and growth? Of course, you would treat it as the incredible, fleeting treasure it is. Well, this is not a fantasy. Every morning you wake, the Bank of Life deposits 86,400 seconds into your account. And the same rules apply. Every second you do not invest in your purpose, your growth, or your well-being is lost forever at the stroke of midnight, and you have no guarantee of a deposit tomorrow. This is the reality of time. It is infinitely more valuable than money. You can always earn more money, but you can never, ever earn more time. The drifter, the person living by default, treats this daily treasure with a casual, almost tragic disregard. The architect of a designed life treats it with the reverence, the respect, and the strategic focus it demands. Before we can master our time, we must first diagnose why we lose it. We must understand the great time deceptions that keep most of the world feeling busy but broke in spirit. The first and most powerful deception is the tyranny of the urgent. Our lives are filled with a constant stream of notifications, emails, minor crises, and requests that all scream for our immediate attention. They are urgent, but they are rarely important. The important activities are the ones that move us closer to our great goals, the ones that align with our deepest values. They are often quiet. They do not demand, they require our intention. The drifter spends their entire life as a firefighter, rushing from one urgent minor fire to the next, while their great cathedral of purpose sits untouched, a pile of unlaid bricks. The second deception is the myth of finding time. How often have you heard this phrase? I'll start my business when I find the time. I'll get to the gym when I find the time. This is a profound fallacy. No one ever finds time as if it were a lost set of keys. Time is not found, time is made. It is created through conscious, deliberate allocation. The architect does not find time for their priorities. They make time for their priorities. And the less important things must compete for the scraps of time that are left over. The third deception is the illusion of productivity. We have come to confuse activity with accomplishment. We wear our busyness as a badge of honor, but a rocking horse is in constant motion, and yet it makes no progress. We must ask ourselves the difficult question: are you busy or are you effective? Are you in motion or are you making progress? The architect is not interested in the appearance of being busy. They are interested in the reality of being effective. To escape these deceptions, we must adopt a new, powerful philosophy of time. The first principle of this new philosophy is run the day, or the day will run you. The moment you wake, you are at a crossroads. You can either be proactive or reactive. You can operate from a plan, or you can operate from your inbox, which is nothing more than a convenient organizing system for other people's plans for you. The architect understands that the first hour of the day is the rudder for the next 23. They begin their day with quiet intention, with a clear plan, seizing control of their day before the world has a chance to impose its own chaotic agenda. The second principle is spend major time on major things. Your life is a constant series of choices between major priorities and minor distractions. A major priority is an activity that, if done consistently, will have a massive, positive, compounding impact on your long-term goals. Reading a book that expands your skills, having a deep, connecting conversation with your partner, working on the most critical project for your business. A minor distraction is a low-value task that consumes time but produces little of consequence. Mindless scrolling on social media, engaging in gossip, arguing about trivialities. The great tragedy of the drifter's life is that they spend major time on minor things They give their best hours to the least important tasks. The defining characteristic of the architect's life is that they spend the majority of their time and all of their best time on the majors. So, how do we put this philosophy into daily practice? We use the tools of the master. The first tool is the art of the plan. A life without a plan is a life of improvisation in the face of chaos. The single most powerful act of time mastery is to spend 15 minutes the night before in the quiet to map out your next day. Identify your vital few using the 80/20 principle. Identify the 20% of your potential tasks that will deliver 80% of your desired results. Choose the 1, 2, or at most 3 most important things you must accomplish tomorrow. These are your majors. Write them down. This simple act primes your subconscious mind to work on them while you sleep and allows you to wake up with the profound gift of clarity. The second tool is the power of time blocking. A simple to-do list is a good start, but it is passive. Time blocking is active. It is the act of taking your most important tasks and giving them a specific, protected home on your calendar. You don't just have work on report on your list. You have a 90-minute non-negotiable appointment on your calendar from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. that says deep work. Draft section 1 of Q3 report. You treat this appointment with the same seriousness you would an appointment with a doctor. During this block, you do nothing else. You silence your phone, you close your email, you eliminate all distractions. This is how you defeat multitasking and engage in the deep, focused work where all high-quality results are born. The third and most critical tool is protecting your prime time. Each of us has a 2 to 4 hour window each day where our mental energy, our focus, and our creative capacity are at their absolute peak. For some, it is the first few hours after waking. For others, it may be late at night. The architect's most important strategic decision is to identify their personal prime time and then to guard it with the ferocity of a lion. This is your golden time. You must dedicate your prime time to your most important high-value creative work, your majors. The drifter gives their prime time away to minor things, answering emails, attending pointless meetings, scrolling through feeds. This is a tragic squandering of potential. You must give your best hours to your best opportunities. You see, this commitment to mastering your time is the very framework that allows you to engage in lifelong learning and to face your challenges. You cannot learn and you cannot solve difficult problems without focused, dedicated blocks of time. And this brings us to the next inescapable conclusion. A perfectly designed schedule, a masterfully allocated day, is utterly useless if the architect is too exhausted, too sick, or too mentally foggy to execute the plan. Your best laid plans for your time are completely dependent on the physical and mental energy and clarity you bring to those hours. This is why the architect's next great commitment must be to the very source of that energy. It is the commitment to prioritize your physical and mental health. The mastery of time is not about becoming a robot. It is the opposite. When you control your day, when you know that you have invested your moments wisely in your most important work, you create true freedom. The freedom to be fully present with your family in the evening without the nagging guilt of a procrastinated task. The freedom to rest, knowing it is a strategic and necessary part of your plan. So my challenge to you is this. Tonight, before you sleep, take out a clean sheet of paper. Do not plan your whole life. Just plan tomorrow. Identify your top 3 majors. Decide when you will give them your undivided attention. This small, simple act is the first step in a revolution. It is your first declaration of sovereignty over your own life. It is the moment you stop asking your day where it went and you start telling it where to go. Your 86,400 seconds are waiting. Invest them wisely. We have now covered the foundational architecture of a self-directed life. We have taken back our power through responsibility, set our direction by defining who we intend to become, committed to the learning required to grow, and taken control of the very fabric of our lives by mastering our time. This is deep and meaningful work, and it is a natural place for us to pause and take a breath. As you reflect on this blueprint, if you feel a resonance with this philosophy, if you believe in the power of these principles to construct a life of significance, then I invite you to become a permanent member of this workshop, this community of architects. Take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel. It is more than a click. It is a commitment to the most important project you will ever work on. It ensures you will not miss the remaining pillars of this design. Now, let us continue the work. In our last discussion, we confronted the most precious and unforgiving of all life's resources. We made the commitment to become the master of your time, to trade the reactive chaos of the drifter for the proactive intention of the architect. We have learned to schedule our 86,400 seconds with strategic wisdom. But this raises a profound and essential question. What is the quality of the energy, the focus, and the resilience that you bring to the time you have so carefully planned? A perfectly designed schedule is useless if the architect is too exhausted, too foggy, or too emotionally compromised to execute the plan. This brings us to our fifth and profoundly internal commitment. It is the commitment that governs the very source of your power. It is the work of cultivating the soil from which all of your actions will grow. You must become the steward of your inner world. Imagine you are the caretaker of a magnificent, priceless estate. This estate has fertile gardens, a powerful command center, and a complex system of rivers that flow throughout. Your entire livelihood and legacy depend on the health and harmony of this estate. Your body is the garden, your mind is the command center, and your emotions are the rivers. You are the steward of this inner world. To neglect its care is the ultimate form of abdication. To cultivate it with wisdom is the ultimate source of your strength. We must begin by dismantling a great modern fallacy, the myth of the mind-body split. We are taught to treat our body as a beast of burden, a machine to be pushed until it breaks. And we are taught to treat our mind as a disembodied commander, expected to perform flawlessly regardless of the state of the machine. This is a profound error. Your mind and body are not two separate entities in a tense negotiation. They are one deeply integrated, miraculous system. Stress in the mind creates disease in the body. Energy in the body creates clarity in the mind. The architect of a designed life does not see their health as a separate secondary goal. They see it as the foundational strategy that makes all other goals possible. Let us begin with the physical foundation. Let us talk about the body as your energy factory. All of your ambitions, your goals, your discipline, your courage run on a single vital currency, energy. Time is the track you run on, but energy is your ability to run. A person with boundless energy in only a few hours can achieve more than a person with all the time in the world and no energy at all. The architect, therefore, must become a master of energy cultivation. This rests on three pillars of vitality. The first is fuel. We must stop thinking about food as mere entertainment and start seeing it as strategic fuel for a high-performance life. The quality of your thoughts, your mood, and your stamina are all directly linked to the quality of the information you give your cells. To expect a world-class performance while fueling your body with low-grade processed junk is an absurdity. Prioritizing your health means choosing high-performance fuel. It means making hydration a non-negotiable ritual. Every meal is a choice between vitality and lethargy. The second pillar of vitality is movement. A sedentary life is a direct contradiction to our biological design. We must reframe exercise. It is not a punishment for what you ate. It is a celebration of what your body can do. It is the most potent tool we have to generate energy, flush out stress hormones like cortisol, and stimulate the production of chemicals that are like fertilizer for your brain cells, helping you think more clearly and learn faster. Movement is not a chore you must endure. It is a strategic advantage you get to use every single day. The third pillar of vitality is recovery. We live in a culture that glorifies the hustle and treats sleep as a necessary evil. The architect knows this is a fool's philosophy. The master woodcutter does not prove their dedication by chopping for 18 hours with a dull axe. They prove their wisdom by taking the time to sharpen the axe. Your sleep and your moments of rest are the sharpening of your axe. Sleep is not downtime. It is the active, critical period where your body repairs, your mind consolidates learning, and your energy is restored. To consistently cheat your sleep is to deliberately choose to operate with a dull mind and a weakened body. These three, fuel, movement, and recovery are the non-negotiable foundation for your physical instrument. Now, let us turn our attention to the command center, the inner citadel, the mind. To care for your mind is to become the vigilant gardener of your own inner world. A garden left untended will be effortlessly and automatically overrun by weeds. So too will your mind, if left to its own devices, be overrun by the weeds of worry, doubt, and negativity. The architect's work is daily, conscious cultivation. The first duty of the gardener is to stand guard at the gate. You are the sole gatekeeper of your mind. You have the absolute power to decide what you allow to enter. Every news story you consume, every social media feed you scroll, every conversation you entertain, these are the seeds you are allowing into your garden. Are you planting seeds of fear, outrage, and comparison, or are you planting seeds of knowledge, inspiration, and possibility? The architect is ruthlessly selective about their inputs. The second duty is to pull the weeds. No matter how well you guard the gate, some weeds will sprout. These are the negative thought patterns that are part of the human condition. There is the invasive weed of worry. Worry is the misuse of your powerful imagination. It is the act of meditating on what you do not want. It is a prayer for chaos. The antidote to worry is not wishful thinking, it is presence and action. You pull the mind out of the imagined catastrophic future and back into the tangible present moment. And you take one small, productive step. Action is the death of worry. There is the parasitic weed of comparison. In our hyper-connected world, this weed grows rampant. Comparison is the thief of joy. To look at the curated highlight reel of another person's life and compare it to the behind-the-scenes reality of your own is a recipe for perpetual dissatisfaction. The architect knows the only healthy comparison is the person you were yesterday versus the person you are today. That is the only race that matters. The final duty of the gardener is to proactively plant and nurture the seeds you wish to grow. You must plant the seed of gratitude. Gratitude is not a passive response to good fortune. It is an active mental discipline. It is the practice of scanning your world for what is good, which rewires your brain to see opportunity and abundance instead of lack and scarcity. You must plant the seed of stillness. In a world of deafening noise, silence is a form of power. The practice of mindfulness or meditation is not about emptying your mind. It is about learning to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. It is the act of creating a small space between a stimulus and your response. In that space lies your freedom and your power to choose. Finally, we must learn to be the steward of the river of emotions. Your emotions are not you. They are not your master. They are messengers. They are a guidance system, providing you with information about your inner world and your alignment with your values. Fear is a messenger that says, pay attention, be prepared. Anger is a messenger that says, a boundary has been violated. Sadness is a messenger that says, you have lost something you value. Joy is a messenger that says, you are on the right path. The drifter is a slave to these messengers. They are swept away by the river of their emotions, reacting without thought. The architect does not try to dam the river. They learn to navigate it. They listen to the message the emotion is delivering, thank it for the information, and then choose a response that is aligned with their goals and their character. This is the heart of emotional intelligence. You see, this commitment to your inner world is the very platform upon which all your other commitments stand or fall. It is the energy from a healthy body and the resilience from a healthy mind that gives you the capacity to practice the demanding work of discipline and consistency. And it is this inner strength, this clarity, this profound sense of self-respect that you cultivate that gives you the fortitude to make difficult choices. It gives you the power to protect your priorities, which requires the mastery of our next great pillar, the art of the strategic no. To become the steward of your inner world is not a selfish act. It is the ultimate act of responsibility. You owe it to your goals, to your family, and to your purpose to bring the best, most vital, and most capable version of yourself to the table each day. So my challenge to you is this. Today, make one small, simple choice that honors your stewardship. Drink one extra glass of water, take a 10-minute walk, and just breathe. Before you sleep tonight, write down one thing you are grateful for. These are not small acts. They are the first acts of a master musician tuning their priceless instrument. They are the first acts of a wise steward tending to the sacred ground from which their entire future will grow. In our last discussion, we made the profound commitment to become the vigilant steward of our inner world. We acknowledge that our mind and body form the sacred instrument with which we play the symphony of our lives. We committed to cultivating our inner garden, to pulling the weeds of negativity, and to planting the seeds of gratitude and stillness. This is the vital work of creating a strong and centered self. But the moment you create something of value, be it a peaceful mind, a focused schedule, or a clear sense of purpose, the world will begin to make demands upon it. The world will try to encroach upon your garden. This brings us to our sixth and profoundly strategic pillar. It is the commitment that serves as the fierce gatekeeper of your inner world and the guardian of all your other commitments. You must master the art of a strategic no. In a world that celebrates the open door, the endless yes and constant availability, the word no has been branded as negative, as unkind, as selfish. But this is a profound misunderstanding. For the architect of a designed life, the word no is not a word of limitation. It is the most powerful creative word you possess. It is the word that clears the space for your most important work to be done. It is the word that protects your genius from the tyranny of the trivial. Before we can learn how to wield this powerful tool, we must first dissect the deep-seated forces that prevent us from using it. We must understand the anatomy of what we can call the disease to please. Why is a simple two-letter word so difficult for so many of us to say? The first reason is a primal one, the fear of disappointing others. We are social creatures, wired for connection and belonging. In our ancient past, being cast out from the tribe was a death sentence. That ancient fear still echoes in our modern minds. We are terrified that saying no will lead to disapproval, to being disliked, to damaging a relationship that we value. And so we often say a weak, resentful yes to avoid the temporary discomfort of a clean, honest no. The second reason is the fear of conflict. Many of us are non-confrontational by nature. We would rather carry the heavy, long-term burden of an unwanted commitment, the weeks of dread, the hours of wasted effort, than face the short-term discomfort of a potentially awkward two-minute conversation. We sacrifice our future peace for a moment of present ease. The third reason is the fear of missing out. In our hyper-connected world, we are bombarded with the highlight reels of others' lives. We become terrified that if we say no to an invitation or an opportunity, we might miss out on the one magical connection or the one big break. This fear leads us to overcommit, to spread ourselves thin like a pat of butter over too much bread, and to live a life that is wide but incredibly shallow. And the fourth reason is the ego's desire to be seen as the hero, the capable one. We want to be perceived as helpful, as reliable, as the person who can do it all. Our reflexive yes is often a subconscious attempt to prove our own value and importance to others and to ourselves. These fears conspire to make us say yes by default. And a life of default yeses is a life of distraction, of burnout, and of living out other people's agendas. The architect must break free. And this begins with a profound philosophical reframe. You must burn this truth into your mind. Every no you utter is a powerful yes to something more important. When you say no to working late on a non-essential task, you are saying a profound yes to your family, to your rest, to your own well-being. When you say no to a mindless distraction on your phone, you are saying a powerful yes to the deep, focused work required to achieve your great goals. When you say no to a financial impulse, you are saying a powerful yes to your long-term financial freedom. When you say no to a mediocre opportunity, you are saying a powerful yes to making space for an excellent one to arrive. Your no is not an act of closing a door. It is the act of guarding the door to the sacred space where your most important priorities live. A person who cannot say no effectively has no real priorities. Their yes is devalued because it is given to everything and anything. It is only by saying no to the trivial that your yes to the vital gains its true power and integrity. Furthermore, a strategic no is an act of profound respect. A clear, honest, and timely no is infinitely more respectful than a reluctant, resentful yes that leads to a poor performance, a missed deadline, or a broken promise. It respects the other person enough to give them a true answer, and it respects yourself enough to honor your own capacity and commitment. It defines the boundaries of your life, and boundaries are the foundation of all healthy relationships with others and with yourself. So, how do we practice this? How do we wield this tool with grace and skill? We must learn to say no in 4 key arenas of our lives. The first is saying no to others' agendas. This is the most common challenge. When you are asked to do something that does not align with your purpose or your priorities, you do not need a long, elaborate excuse. In fact, long excuses are a sign of guilt. A simple, polite, and firm response is all that is needed. You can say, "Thank you for thinking of me for this, but I'll have to pass." Or, "That sounds like a wonderful opportunity, but my focus is committed elsewhere right now, so I can't give it the attention it deserves." Or simply, "I'm sorry, I'm not able to do that." You do not need to over-explain or justify. Your no is a complete sentence. The second arena is saying no to information and distraction. You must become a ruthless curator of your information diet. In an age of information overload, your focus is your fortune. This means saying no to the endless, anxiety-inducing news cycle, saying no to the social media feeds that leave you feeling drained or envious, saying no to the gossip and the noise that clutters the garden of your mind. Every act of unfollowing, unsubscribing, or turning off notifications is a powerful no that protects your mental clarity and your creative energy. The third arena is saying no to your own impulses. This is the internal no. This is the voice of your own discipline. It is the no to the snooze button when your plan was to wake up early. The no to the unhealthy food when your commitment is to your health. The no to the urge to procrastinate when your time is best spent on your priorities. Every other no you say to the external world is powered by your ability to first say no to the weaker, less disciplined parts of yourself. This is the ultimate practice of self-mastery. And the fourth and most advanced arena is saying no to good opportunities. This is what separates the merely successful from the truly exceptional. As you become more successful, you will be presented with more and more opportunities. Many of them will be good. The temptation is to say yes to all of them, to chase every shiny object. But the master architect understands that every yes consumes a portion of their most finite resources, their time, their focus, and their energy. They know that to build their great cathedral, they cannot also be building a dozen other nice-looking chapels. They have the wisdom and the courage to say no to many good opportunities so they can give their entire undivided energy to the few truly great ones that align with their deepest purpose. You see, this final commitment is not just another pillar. It is the guardian that protects the integrity of the entire structure we have designed. It is the no that protects your goals from being derailed by distraction. It is the no that protects your time from being squandered. It is the no that protects your health from the burnout of overcommitment. It is the no that protects your financial discipline from impulsive spending. And, most importantly, it is the very word you use to enforce the boundaries required for our final pillar. It is the tool you use to choose your associations wisely, to curate your inner circle, and to protect your energy. The ultimate purpose of mastering no is not to become a negative or closed-off person. It is the exact opposite. The purpose of mastering no is to clear your life of the clutter, the obligations, and the distractions, so that when you find that one person, that one project, that one cause that aligns with your deepest purpose and your highest values, you can turn to it, look it in the eye, and give it the most powerful, focused, and unconditional yes of your life. That is freedom. That is power. That is the life of the architect. So my challenge to you is this. In the next 24 hours, you will be presented with a choice, a request, an invitation, a distraction. And in that moment, I want you to pause. And before you give your default yes, ask yourself this powerful question. By saying yes to this, what am I implicitly saying no to? And if the trade-off is not worthy of you, I challenge you to practice a kind, firm, and strategic no. It will feel uncomfortable at first, but it is the discomfort of a muscle being used for the first time. It is the discomfort of taking back control. It is the first act of a person who has decided that their life will be defined not by the random agendas of the world, but by the power of their own intentional choice. In our work together thus far, we have journeyed deep into the inner world of the architect. We have built the pillars of responsibility, of vision, of learning, of time mastery, and of health. And most recently, we have forged the essential tool of the strategic know the gatekeeper of our priorities. Now, we must turn our attention to the single most important arena where that gatekeeper must stand guard. We must discuss the invisible architecture that surrounds you every single day, the human ecosystem that is constantly shaping your thoughts, your standards, and your destiny. This brings us to our seventh and final foundational pillar. It is a commitment so powerful that it can accelerate all your efforts or sabotage them entirely. You must choose your associations wisely. Let us begin with a fundamental law of nature. You cannot grow a magnificent redwood tree in a small, shallow pot. The environment determines the limits of the organism. You are that organism. And your associations, the people you spend the most time with, are the soil, the water, and the air of your human environment. We often cling to the myth of the rugged individual, the idea that we are an island, unaffected by the currents of those around us. This is a dangerous and arrogant fantasy. We are not rocks, we are sponges. We are constantly and often unconsciously absorbing the attitudes, the habits, the beliefs, and the expectations of the people in our immediate circle. This is the unbreakable law of proximity, and it is most famously expressed in this simple and sometimes brutal statement of truth. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not a metaphor, it is a formula. Take a moment right now and conduct a private, honest audit. Who are the 5 people, friends, family, colleagues with whom you share the majority of your time and attention? Now, consider the average of that group. What is the average of their health and vitality? Are they people of energy who take care of their instrument, or are they people of lethargy and complaint? Your own health habits will inevitably drift toward that average. What is the average of their ambition and success? Are they striving, growing, learning, and pushing their own boundaries, or are they comfortable, complacent, and settled? Your own sense of what is possible will be calibrated by that average. What is the average of their financial discipline? Are they investors, savers, and creators of value, or are they debtors and consumers living for the next paycheck? Your own financial philosophy will be profoundly influenced by that average. And most importantly, what is the average of their conversations? This is the key. What do you talk about? Do you talk about ideas, about possibilities, about the future, or do you talk about other people, about problems, about the past? The quality of your conversations determines the quality of your thoughts, and the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your life. If you find that the average of your 5 is not pulling you in the direction of the person you intend to become, you are faced with a difficult but necessary choice. You cannot expect to live an exceptional life if you are immersed in an average environment. The architect of a designed life is not a passive victim of their social environment. They are its conscious, deliberate curator. This is not about feeling superior to anyone. It is about having a profound respect for the power of influence and a deep commitment to your own potential. To begin this work of curation, we must first learn to identify the different types of influences in our lives, much like a gardener learns to identify which plants are beneficial and which are weeds. First, there are the drainers. These are the people who, after an interaction, leave you feeling diminished, tired, or negative. They are the weeds in your garden. This includes the cynic, the dream stealer who meets your ambition with skepticism. It includes the complainer, the energy vampire who uses you as a receptacle for their negativity. It includes the victim, the person who has an excuse for everything and takes responsibility for nothing, subtly teaching you the language of powerlessness. Then there are the maintainers. These are not necessarily toxic, but they are not catalysts for your growth. They are the neutral ground. This often includes the anchor. This is the well-meaning friend or family member who loves the person you used to be. Your growth and change make them uncomfortable because it shines a light on their own stagnation. They will often try to pull you back to the old, familiar version of yourself, not out of malice, but out of a desire for comfort. It also includes the good time friend. This is a person you enjoy for recreational activities, but with whom you can have no deep, meaningful conversation about growth, ideas, or purpose. There is nothing wrong with these relationships, but the architect understands they must be balanced. If your entire circle is composed of maintainers, your life will, by definition, be maintained in its current state. And finally, there are the lifters. These are the people who are catalysts for your growth. They are the nutrient-rich soil for your ambitions. And interaction with them leaves you feeling inspired, challenged, and more capable than you were before. This includes the mentor, someone who is further down the path than you are, whose wisdom can save you years of mistakes. It includes the peer, someone who is on the same journey, running alongside you, who understands your struggles and shares your ambitions. This is your accountability partner, your brother or sister in arms. And surprisingly, it includes the protege, someone you are teaching and guiding. For in the act of teaching, you solidify your own knowledge and reinforce your own commitments. The architect's strategy is to minimize their time with the drainers, manage their time with the maintainers, and maximize their time with the lifters. This brings us to the practical and often emotionally difficult how-to. This is where our previous commitment to mastering the strategic no becomes your most essential tool. The first strategy is disassociation. This is the courageous act of pulling the most invasive weeds from your garden. It means making the difficult decision to end or dramatically limit your relationship with the most toxic drainers in your life. This is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound self-preservation. You must understand that you cannot save a person who is determined to drown, and you must not allow them to pull you under with them. The second strategy is limited association. For the anchors or maintainers you cannot or choose not to fully disassociate from, you must build a fence. This means managing the interaction with intention. You limit the time you spend with them. You control the agenda of the conversation, consciously steering it toward more positive or neutral topics. You refuse to engage with the gossip, the complaining, or the negativity. You are being polite, but you are protecting your own mental and emotional space. The third and most exciting strategy is expanded association. You cannot just weed a garden. You must also plant flowers. This is the proactive and deliberate pursuit of lifters. How do you find these people? You do not find them by chasing them. You find them by attracting them. You do this by becoming a lifter yourself. You focus on your own growth, on your own purpose, on your own discipline. As you become a more interesting, more valuable, and more positive person, you will naturally begin to attract other people of the same caliber. Your growth is the magnet. Join groups and organizations where the people you want to meet congregate. Go to the seminar, join the mastermind, attend the workshop, put yourself in the path of the people you admire. You see, this final pillar is the one that creates the environment in which all your other commitments can either flourish or wither. Your commitment to your philosophy is either reinforced or eroded by the philosophy of those around you. Your goals will seem either possible or impossible depending on the ambition of your circle. Your discipline will be easier to maintain when you are surrounded by other disciplined people, and nearly impossible when you are surrounded by complacency. So the invitation of this final pillar is to become a conscious architect of your human ecosystem, to see your social life not as a matter of chance, but as a matter of strategic choice. My challenge to you is this week, make one small curatorial decision. Identify one drainer in your life and consciously choose to shorten your next interaction with them. And identify one potential lifter, someone you admire, and make one small effort to connect with them or learn from them. Send an email, read their book, watch an interview. This is the first act of the conscious curator. It is a declaration that you understand that who you become is shaped by who you are with. It is an act of profound respect for the person you intend to become. Choose your associations wisely, for they are the invisible architects of your future. We have traveled a great distance together on this journey of design, We began with an invitation to awaken from the slumber of a life by default and to embrace the powerful, responsible role of the architect of your own experience. We have since laid down the 7 fundamental pillars, the great foundational commitments upon which a life of significance is built. We have examined the blueprints of our own potential. We have confronted the internal and external forces that seek to keep us small. We have assembled the tools of the master builder. And now we find ourselves here at the end of our time together. But let me be unequivocally clear. This is not the end of the journey. This is not the finish line. What we have reached together is something far more important, far more exciting. We have reached the true starting line. The purpose of this entire masterclass was not to provide you with a completed map. It was to teach you how to become a master cartographer of your own life. The goal was not to hand you a finished masterpiece. It was to reintroduce you to the artist, the sculptor, the architect that has been lying dormant within you all along. The work does not end here. The work begins here. This final session is about the architect's promise, and it is not a promise that I make to you. It is the promise that you must now, with the full weight of your understanding and your conviction, make to yourself. It is the promise to take this blueprint, these principles, and to breathe life into them with the fire of your daily actions. To do this, we must first see how these 7 commitments are not a mere checklist, but a living, breathing, integrated system. They are not 7 separate pillars, but a magnificent, interconnected symphony of a well-lived life. Let us first see the foundation of power. This is the harmony between radical responsibility and defining the person you intend to become. Responsibility is the act of taking the pen of authorship for your life. Defining the person you intend to become is the act of deciding what the story will be about. One without the other is incomplete. Responsibility without a vision is aimless. A vision without responsibility is a powerless daydream. Together, they form the bedrock of all creation. You declare, I am the cause, and then you declare, this is the effect I choose to create. Upon this foundation, you build the engine of growth. This is the dynamic interplay of lifelong learning and the mastery of your time. Your commitment to learning is the fuel. It is the constant intake of knowledge, skill, and wisdom. But fuel is useless without an engine to burn it in. Your mastery of time is that engine. It is the disciplined allocation of your precious, finite moments to the process of learning and application. You make the time to learn, and what you learn makes your time more valuable. This is the upward spiral of personal evolution. And this engine is housed within a sacred space, the fortress of being. This is the synergy between becoming the steward of your inner world and choosing your associations wisely. Your inner world, your health, your mindset, your emotional state is the direct environment in which you live. Your associations are the external environment that profoundly influences your inner world. You must work from the inside out, cultivating a garden of strength and positivity. And you must work from the outside in, building a fence to protect that garden from toxic influences. A strong inner world gives you the wisdom to choose your circle, and a well-chosen circle reinforces the strength of your inner world. Finally, the entire structure is given its shape and its power by the 7th pillar, which acts as the cutting edge of action. This is the mastery of the strategic no. It is the tool that protects your time, your energy, and your focus. It is the chisel that the sculptor uses to chip away all the stone that is not the masterpiece. It gives definition, clarity, and power to all your other commitments. When you see these commitments not as a list, but as a living, breathing system, you begin to understand the true nature of a designed life. It is a life of profound harmony, where your vision, your character, and your actions are all playing the same beautiful song. To help you navigate this lifelong performance, allow me to leave you with one final master metaphor, the seasons of life. Your life, like the year, will not be a single, unchanging season of sunshine and ease. It will be a series of cycles. The wise architect does not resist the seasons. They understand them and learn to act in accordance with their nature. There will be winter. These are the seasons of your life for rest, reflection, and preparation. Winter is when the world seems barren, when opportunities are scarce, when you may face setbacks or loss. The drifter despairs in the winter, believing the cold will last forever. But the architect understands the purpose of winter. This is not the time for planting, it is the time for studying. It is the time to go inside, to strengthen your roots, your philosophy. It is the time to read the books, to reflect in your journal, to plan for the coming spring. It is the time to get stronger, so that when the thaw comes, you are ready. Do not curse the winter, use the winter. Then, inevitably, spring will arrive. This is the season of opportunity. The thaw comes, new chances emerge. A new project, a new relationship, a new idea. This is a season for decisive action. The architect, having planned all winter, recognizes the opportunity and plants their seeds with discipline and purpose. They take the calculated risk. They know the window of spring is precious and must be seized. After spring comes summer. This is the season of diligent, relentless cultivation. This is the most demanding season. The sun is hot, the work is hard, and the harvest is still not yet visible. In the summer, you must protect your growing crops. You must pull the weeds of mediocrity and distraction every single day. You must fight off the pests of negativity and your own self-doubt. You must show up with unwavering consistency to water and nurture what you have planted. The summer will test your resolve. It is the season that forges your character. And if you have been wise in the winter, active in the spring, and diligent in the summer, then the fall will surely come. This is the season of harvest, of results. You finally reap the rewards of your consistent, disciplined efforts. This is a time for profound gratitude and celebration, but it is also a time of responsibility. You must wisely gather your harvest and use a portion of it to prepare for the next inevitable winter. You do not become complacent in the fall, you become wise. You understand that the harvest of today was born from the labors of all the seasons that came before it. Learn to recognize the season you are in and act accordingly. This is the rhythm of a sustainable, successful, and resilient life. And so we arrive at the end of our beginning. We have explored the philosophy, the pillars, the mindset, and the seasons of a life by design. The knowledge is now yours. But knowledge that is not translated into action is the ultimate tragedy. This brings us to the final fundamental choice. The world is divided into two groups of people, the spectators and the participants. The spectators fill the great stadium of life. They have a perfect view of the game. They become experts in theory. They analyze the players' moves. They critique their mistakes. They know with absolute certainty how the game should be played. But they never feel the sweat on their brow. They never feel the ache in their muscles. They never feel the sting of defeat or the indescribable thrill of victory. Their life is a second-hand experience. It is safe, clean, and utterly unlived. Then there are the participants. They are the ones on the field. They are messy, scarred, and imperfect. They get knocked down. They make mistakes. They risk public failure and private disappointment. But they are the ones who are truly alive. They are the ones who know the profound joy of striving, of contributing, of leaving everything they have on the field. They are the ones whose lives are a testament to the power of the human spirit. All of our time together has been a single, sustained invitation for you to leave the spectator seats, to walk down the steps, and to step onto the field of your own life. And now we come to the final call to action. It is the architect's promise, the promise you now make to yourself. It is not a promise to be perfect. It is not a promise to never fail. It is the promise to simply begin and to continue. The grandest cathedral is not built in a day. It is built one brick at a time. The entire philosophy of a designed life comes down to the quality of your attention and effort in this present moment. It comes down to the next brick. When this screen fades to black, your life as an architect begins. Your first test will not be a great crisis. It will be a small, quiet choice. It will be in the way you close your laptop. It will be in the next words you speak to your family or friends. It will be in the choice between picking up your phone to mindlessly scroll or picking up your journal to reflect. It will be in the thought you choose to entertain. That is the field of play. My final challenge to you is this: choose one. Choose one commitment that resonated most deeply with you and make it the theme of the very next action you take. That is the first act of the participant. That is the first brick of your cathedral. The work is not easy, but it is the most worthy work you will ever do. The masterpiece you are building is not just for you, it is for everyone your life will touch. It is the ripple effect of your courage, your discipline, and your example. It is the legacy of your potential, fully realized. You have the blueprint. You have the tools. You are the architect. Now, go, lay the first brick. Thank you for investing your most valuable asset, your time with me on this journey. But our work together does not end here. This is a lifelong conversation. If this blueprint has been of value to you, please like this video to share that value with others, and share it with one person you know who is ready to begin their own great project. And most importantly, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you can continue to receive the philosophies and strategies needed to build your masterpiece. I look forward to continuing this journey of construction with you. Thank you.